Hello and welcome back to The Absolute Mom. Today we are talking about such an exciting and very important topic, and it is how to avoid homeschool burnout. So if this is something that's important to you, please stay tuned. This video is an open collaboration with Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Waldock Way, and they are the Show and Tell Homeschool Collaboration Group. They bring a new exciting topic every single month that any YouTube mama can participate in, and I am so thankful for all the topics that they have chosen, because I find that bringing this content to you homeschool mamas should be so helpful, and knowing that you can get sometimes 40 different videos on the same subject is very helpful. All right, so let's get started. What I'm going to do is talk about some ways to prevent homeschool burnout, some ways that I do things daily to keep us all happy and de-stressed, and then also some things to do if you are already burnt out. Burnout usually looks different for everybody, but I found when I was burnt out, I was kind of yelling at the kids. I didn't want to sit down and get the homeschool day started. Everything seemed like a chore. Around the house was harder to keep up with, also because I just didn't have the motivation. And then I finally realized we just really need a break from homeschool. And so the other part of this too is it's easy to get homeschool burnout if you're stressed in other areas of your life. And so your life needs to be a good balance to be able to be productive as a mama. So some ways that you can help manage the other parts of your life is work. Try to evaluate your hours, maybe evaluate what days per week that you're working. Maybe talk to your boss and see if you can work from home for a little bit or take a little bit of a vacation. Or there's many options. You just sometimes have to talk to your managers or your boss about it to try to figure it out. So I know the other part that really affects me with homeschooling is if my house isn't in order. So I can ignore things for a certain point, but once my house gets complete chaos, I finally just have to take a day or two off of homeschooling to get the house back reset in working order so that I know I can sit down and I can give my kids 1000% of my attention that they deserve. One way to try to keep your house in order to help prevent stress and homeschool burnout is to have good routines. So every morning I usually get up, I try to make my bed because I feel more productive if my bed's made. I try to get ready right away because I know once I come downstairs, probably not going to go back upstairs for a few hours to personally get myself ready. And I try to put a load of laundry in the washing machine every single morning. And that way I know at the end of the day, I at least got one load done and it keeps it from piling up and me having to do 6 loads on the weekend. Usually at lunchtime, I will switch that load over to the dryer. It might not get folded and put away on that same day, but at least everything is washed and ready to be worn again. So then usually after I do that with the washer and the dryer, I go in and I try to empty the dishwasher and reload it if it needs reloaded. So I will completely admit, usually by the time supper is done, I'm spent. I am tired. So we don't always clean up the kitchen that night, which is just one of those trade-offs that I'm willing to make. And so usually in the morning when I have a positive attitude and I have a lot of energy, I just switch out the dishwasher, get the clean stuff out, and I put the stuff from supper in there. And that way the kitchen is clean in the morning too. Then I normally go around, I give all my kids a hug and kiss good morning. And that way they know that it's a bright new morning. We're going to have a positive attitude. We're all in this together. And I try to lead them with their attitude for the day instead of letting them lead and maybe being a little too whiny or cryy or argumentative. So after that, we all know that our routine is we're going to get breakfast. We're probably going to do a little bit of read aloud time during breakfast, and then it is school time. So they know they're not allowed TV until after school is done. And to us, that helps so much because TV is just a huge rabbit hole. And next thing you know, it's noon and we haven't gotten school started at all. So I implemented all this routine to prevent me from being burnt out homeschooling my kids. Because if you are homeschool mama, and I'm betting if you're watching this video, you are, then you know that you are on demand 24/7 with your family. There's always somebody needing you, or sometimes 4 people needing you at the same time. So you need to be able to manage what is on your plate at any given time and to be able to switch off your mind to other things. So I know once that laundry is in the washer, that's out of my mind. I know once the dishwasher is unloaded and reloaded, the kitchen is out of my mind. I know that me doing that weekly Walmart order on the same day, every day, I know it's an automatic thing, it's done, out of my mind. I know after I've done my menu planning and my weekly school planning at the end of the previous week for the next week, out of my mind. I get decision fatigue, so all these things are things I have done to decrease the chance of me being burnt out every single year. So I find a lot of mamas get burnt out during December and January of the school year, and that's for multiple reasons. So when we start our school year, we have all this fresh, beautiful new curriculum that we're all super excited about, and we are very willing to use it and dive deep into it and everything because it's new to us. Well, now we're kind of to the point that everything's a routine and it's not as exciting. It's a little bit tedious at this point. And so a lot of moms want to switch to a new curriculum during this time of year, thinking it's not working. But I want you to stop and evaluate. Is this curriculum not working for us? Or is it that I'm just kind of burnt out and need a little bit of a break? And so if you just need a break, obviously keep with that curriculum. Maybe change how you do it. Maybe change where you do it, or maybe do more activities with it. Maybe just stop the curriculum. Like if you're doing science and you're doing a weather activity, maybe just stop what your actual curriculum is and do a unit study on something instead. And that way, when you pick up this curriculum, 2 weeks after you do this unit study, you're going to be nice and excited for it again and not as burnt out. So the other way to help you out is to evaluate what type of homeschool schedule do you want to follow. Do you want to do the traditional homeschool schedule and follow the public school schedule basically and have breaks when they do and do Monday through Friday and have a big summer break? Or do you want to do year round and be able to choose exactly when you need breaks? And so for me, when we were doing traditional, I ended up getting burnt out. Some weeks I was working 3 or 4 shifts per week and still trying to homeschool the kids full time. And then I found when the public school was off of school, I wasn't working as much during that time and I was wishing we were homeschooling instead. And so I ended up switching us to year-round homeschooling, and it has been a huge, huge blessing. Sometimes I have breaks scheduled in, such as usually every November, we go on a big vacation that is a week or 2. And I know that if we work really hard during the fall, we all get to look forward to November when we get that break. Or sometimes I just randomly take the breaks when I need to, such as when I said, when I get overwhelmed with the house, I will just stop homeschool for a day or 2 and get everything back in order to where I need it for my mental health to be good. So evaluate, do you want traditional schooling or do you want year-round schooling? And then evaluate, do you want a strict schedule or do you want a routine? So a strict schedule is what I'm meaning by like 8 to 9, we're doing math. And then 9 to 9:30, we're doing spelling. Then 9:30 to 10:15, we are doing history. And then we go outside for 30 minutes. So to me, that's very stressful because if we're not done with that lesson, then all of a sudden I know we're coming back for undone things, and that's hard on me. The other thing that I do with our routine is that we try to get outside every single day. So when it's nice weather outside, we're easily outside for 8 to 10 hours a day. But when it's cold weather, it's so easy to just stay inside by the fireplace under a nice warm blanket and say, no way, we're not going out. But I purposely set an alarm on my phone every single morning for 10 a.m. to remind me to get the kids outside every single day because I know their attitudes and my attitude is going to be so much better for it. That fresh air just gets you going. You come back in, you're more productive. So we either will go on a walk or a bike ride or just play in the yard. Sometimes when it's nice outside, we'll be in our swimsuits and do different activities. We have a swing set and a playhouse, and And then we just decided this summer to build the kids a clubhouse outside too, so they have plenty of activities to do outside no matter what the weather is. And I find it so important for the kids to be able to get outside every single day. And me also, because when I wake up and I go for a morning walk, my day is way, way better than when I slump around in bed and I look on my social media for an hour before coming downstairs, and then I want to sit down and watch some TV. So it's much, much better to get up, be productive. Another way to prevent you from being homeschool burnout is to make sure you and your kids get really good sleep. So have a normal sleep schedule. Kids need this. Their body can't just sleep whenever you say, like, now is the time to sleep. And so for us, usually my kids would sleep 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Now recently we've kind of moved it back to 8:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., but it still works for them and they are very well rested, and that way we don't have big attitude issues during the day just because they're overly tired. And so we end up showing them good sleep patterns also, because when they go to bed, we go in our bedroom also and we wind down. We don't come back downstairs and do a whole bunch of chores and watch TV. We go in our bedroom, we watch TV for a little bit, and we turn off the lights and we go to sleep also. And that way our kids know nighttime is nighttime and that's for sleep. All right, so those are all ways to avoid homeschool burnout, but what do you do if you're already experiencing it? I mean, we're in January here, so I'm sure probably about 50% of you that are watching this video are watching it because you're already questioning if you're burnt out, or you already know that you are burnt out for homeschool. So my first biggest advice for this is stop school. Just stop it. Just don't do it. So this is very hard because you probably already feel like you're behind and you don't have extra days to be able to just fiddle away and not do homeschool. But if you just keep pushing through, it's just going to be a domino effect. You're just going to get worse instead of better. So what we end up doing every time I've ever had homeschool burnout is we stop school. So it doesn't mean my kids aren't learning during this time. So when I stop school, what we start doing is some fun days instead. Sometimes we'll do a movie day with snacks and cuddles on the couch underneath a nice warm blanket. And a lot of times those movies will be something that is educational for the kids. Or we like to cuddle up and read a book underneath a blanket, so they're still getting a lot of vocabulary. We all take turns reading it out loud. They're listening to the plot of the story. I'm still asking them beneficial questions of it. We love playing board games or card games as part of our stop school days. And those are so educational. I will link up a video that we did last month through the Show and Tell Homeschool collaboration. And that was our favorite educational toys. And I actually made it very specific, and I did our favorite educational board games. So the kids learn so much just by playing games, and they have no idea that it's still school time. So they can learn money, and they can learn time. They learn their counting. They learn patterns. They learn shapes. They learn sharing. They learn, I mean, there's just so much. There's a lot of logical games that we end up throwing in there. They can learn addition and subtraction and some reading. And I mean, it's pretty amazing when you start actually paying attention to a game, how much the kids are learning. And my 4-year-old participates in almost every single game that my 11-year-old can. So sometimes too, instead of board games, we'll do some puzzles. So that's a lot of educational things for him too. Like for my 4-year-old, it's a lot of hand-eye coordination and trying to figure out the different colors that go together and the different shapes that go together and stuff. We all enjoy puzzles so much, and so don't be afraid to take a break and have a fun time. Another thing that we like to do on those days that we're taking a break is having a baking or a cooking day. These kids love nothing more than getting in the kitchen and helping me. So whether it's actually making the mess by baking or cooking something, or cleaning it up, washing dishes, they seriously beg to wash the dishes. And so we all just go in the kitchen together for the day and we have a fun time. And they're still learning at the same time. So baking has tons of fractions. You have to add the fractions together to figure out when you're doubling a recipe, or you have to figure out how many minutes something needs to bake. You need to know when it's done. You need to know what ingredients you need. You need to know what order it is that you need to put it in. There is just so much that they end up learning in the kitchen, and so I feel like it's very beneficial too to do this instead of actual book work for the day. The other thing that I really love to do when we are getting burnt out is to just do an arts and craft day. So I'll usually pick one theme and we will just run with it for the whole entire day. So a lot of times we love Art Hub for Kids here on YouTube. He is teaching them exactly how to draw and color in the drawings and everything, and he is so lively and he does so great with the kids. All four of my kids absolutely love it. So we'll kind of start with that for the theme. We'll read some books that are associated with the theme. We'll usually have a snack that's associated with the theme, and then we do arts and crafts. So we will do like painting or watercolor, or sometimes it's just as simple as crayons. Sometimes we make our own books. Sometimes we go outside on a nature walk and we try to find items that have to do with the theme. And so arts and crafts is a really, really good way to basically almost do a unit study for the day, but yet keep the kids very involved, and it gives their brains a break, and that way none of us are burnt out at the end of it. So far, all of my advice has included the kids, or has included the family as a whole. But I want to give some advice specifically to you, the homeschool mom, because here it is. If you aren't productive and you aren't willing to get the school day done, nobody's gonna just do it for you. We all know, like, mama is running the show here for the most part. And so I have a few advice things for you. I ended up finding in the middle of the day, a little bit after lunch, I was starting to get stressed out. And I think it's because I knew I needed to clean up after lunch, and I knew all the kids needed my help to finish school. I knew in my head the time was clicking away and we needed to start getting ready for dance pretty soon. It just became a stressful part of the day. So what we end up doing now is everybody goes to their own room for 30 to 60 minutes for quiet time. And during that time, I have complete choice of what I do. So I can clean up the house if that's what's going to de-stress me for the day. I could sit there and menu plan or put my grocery order in. So I can work on editing videos for you lovely YouTube people. I can comment back to any of the comments that you've done or answer any emails. I can sit there and read. I can sit there and do nothing but stare outside. I can get some laundry done. It's completely my choice. And the kids know they're allowed to play. They can lay down for a nap. They can read a book. They could do whatever they want to do as long as it's quiet time in their room. And so this helps my mind reset, and that way I know I'm not on demand to the kids for that 30 to 60 minutes. So the time frame really depends on how has our day been going and what do we have going on that night. Like, do we truly have 30 to 60 minutes to allow this? So the other ways that you homeschool mama can help yourself is to make sure your pre-planning is done at the end of the week. So like I said, it's out of your mind then. You're turned off. You're not stressed out about it, but make sure that you don't overplan. I was horrible the first 2 years of homeschooling. I was horrible of over planning. Like, everything on paper looked like we could get it done, and then next thing you know, only about half of it got done by the end of the week because I just way over planned. I underestimated how much time each activity would take, and I didn't allow for any interruptions to happen, which, you know, as a homeschool mom, they happen. So one thing I do when I am actually burnt out or feeling it come on for homeschooling is I look at that year at a glance that I make for my kids for the whole entire year. That weekly breakdown of how much I want to get done in every single subject. And so what that helps me with is when I feel like we're not doing enough and we're not far enough in our curriculum, I look at that and I can see if we're exactly on target or if we're even further ahead than what I feel like. And I'd say 80% of the time, we're usually either exactly where we should be or ahead of where we should be. And so it really just helps me feel like I'm doing a complete job for my kids. So the other thing that I do in my Happy Planner is when there is a new month, I journal about the previous month at the start of the next one. So let's say now we're January 1st. I want to write down what the good things were that happened on our homeschool journey during December. I want to write about everybody's attitude. I want to write about all our achievements, what I'm proud of, what fun activities we did. And that way when I'm getting burnt out, I can just read those, and there's only 12 of them. It's nice and fast to read. I can read those and I can realize that, we're doing a good job. We're getting a lot of stuff done. And then the last thing that I did to help prevent homeschool burnout, which I have to say last year I wasn't burnt out and this year I definitely don't feel burnt out, is that I made a retreat space for myself. So my husband thinks it's a little bit funny that I wanted to redo our master bedroom, but we've never focused the bedroom just on us. Like the bedroom is whatever decoration it is. Like we always focus fun places for the kids or the main areas of the house. And so this year was the year that I was going to focus on us. And so we repainted, we got some new furniture, some new bedding, and it is so soothing and relaxing in there. So if I'm having a bad day, if I tell the kids, Mama just needs a 15-minute break, and I go and I lay up there and I take some deep breaths, I just feel completely refreshed. And to me, that was so important to find a little retreat spot. All right, so there you have it. Some ways to prevent your homeschool burnout, and also some ways, if you're already burnt out, to try to get out of it a little bit. So let me know down below, are you burnt out? What's some of your tips and tricks that you're finding that has worked very well for you? And make sure to reach out to some other homeschool mamas and check in on them, especially this time of year when all of us are starting to get burnt out. A little text might be all they need to get through this week. Make sure to like this video if it's something that you found value in, and also make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any upcoming videos.